Hi, this is Janneke from Sugar Punch, and you're watching Surprise Radio. Please remember to subscribe and enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Surprise Radio. I'm your host, Surprise, and with me I have Maria and Christian of Braveweather. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully Tony will be with us soon.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So how long has Braveweather been together?
Braveweather started back in December of 2019 when we first started messaging each other and kicking the idea around of starting an indie rap, punk band. Right at the end of 2019, and we started meeting regularly at the beginning of 2020.
And so I guess because of that, it must have been pretty hard to continue moving once COVID hit, but I do know that you were able to push through and get some music out during that time. When were the first couple of videos shot? Were they before COVID? Because I know one of them was a party.
Party.
White Claw.
White
White
Claw. Yeah,
Claw.
so that one was shot during that one was shot. When was that, Maria? That was at the end of 2020?
So I think we filmed it before 2020. But I just can't remember. We put it out during 2020, didn't we?
Yeah, so the song came out October of 2020, but we shot the video way before that.
Yeah. Yeah. But honestly, we had a little party, but it sounded like a party too. We actually were in Christian's apartment at the time, and he lived on like the 15th floor of this high-rise apartment, and we had drums in there. We had like a stereo system like blasting at like 2 in the morning. And we were just shooting a music video, and like, we were having a good time and drinking some White Claws, and hence the name. But yeah, we ended up going downstairs to like knock on his neighbors. Actually, it was like upstairs and downstairs to make sure his neighbors weren't getting like mad at us. And they actually said they didn't hear anything,
Oh
which is
wow.
crazy. Like we're literally playing drums and just like playing music to be louder than the drums, and nobody heard anything. So yeah, but 2020 was when we put it out. So we must have filmed it at like, I don't know, at least a year before that. I'm not sure. Well, it wouldn't have been that long before.
No, it was we filmed it during COVID, but it had to have been a couple, maybe 6 months or a couple months right before. But the thing was, like, we had all like also only seen each other for like the 6 months preceding that, when COVID was
Hmm.
like really heating up and everything. So
Yeah.
at the time, yeah, anywhere we went, like, we were wearing masks. And then since it was just us, and like at the time we had all spent so much time with each other that we basically had lived together at that point with each other, while we were writing and creating music and everything. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the timeline, but that must have been, yeah, right, way before we put it out. But yeah, hard to remember exactly when we shot the video. What was it, like, maybe during the summer or something like that? But yeah, no, unfortunately, no parties. No one was having parties back then. It was just us, and it had only been us for like months.
Well, that's good to know
Yeah.
that it didn't affect it too much then.
No.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever thrown a party, actually. We're not the party goers.
Yeah, I think the closest thing we ever threw to a party video is when we pulled all those people out to a bonfire for the Play Pretend music video.
Play pretend. Yeah, that was when did we put that out?
That
21?
21.
was yeah.
It was 21.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. We had a bonfire in the middle of the Florida
No, it was
heat.
20. I'm sorry. It was 20.
Oh, well,
It
there
was
you
in
go.
November of 2020. Is
Yeah,
that
it
right?
was they were right like back to back.
Yeah, first two
Gotcha.
releases were like almost a month after each other.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, we just had a bonfire and it was a pretty big one at one point, and it was just in the middle of the Florida heat, and I don't know. I think Christian had this idea to just like throw a
Yeah.
bonfire, which was cool, and it looked awesome, but it was freaking hot.
Yeah.
It
It was
was
a million
very
degrees
hot.
outside when we shot that. Yeah.
Yeah, but the location was awesome. Like he grew up around there, and he knew this like secret spot. Um, and so we like went here, and there was like just like miles of fields, and like if you didn't know your way in or out, you'd basically be lost forever. And it worked out. It was a really fun time, actually. Yeah, that was a good
Yeah, it was
time.
cool. It was yeah, but it was like the middle of the day shooting this bonfire scene, and I remember talking to Maria beforehand because Maria obviously shoots and edits all the videos, and I was like, "Hey, so here's the idea. Do you think that we can make it look like it's like the afternoon or overnight, like or almost like nighttime? Can you like color grade the sky to make it seem later in the day than it is?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can give it a shot." And then we shot the video, and then everybody like on site, like which are just like a bunch of my friends from Melbourne, who I grew up with. They're like, "Hey, so this is cool and fun to be in your music video and everything, but why did you choose to have us stand around a bonfire when it's 96 degrees outside at like 2 in the afternoon in the middle of the summer?" And I was like, because Maria's gonna edit it to make it look like it's later, and she'll edit all the sweat off your face too. We'll be good to go.
Which I didn't do. Just F that.
Yeah,
I think it turned out really cool though, like with the sky. Like I really love the colors in that video. So
I
honestly,
do
like it
too.
was just, it was kind of a moment where I was like, nah, I think you know, it it looks cool the way it is, and it worked out. But
yeah.
our buddy at the time like was he was in this like he was the masked guy that we had kind of themed throughout. I guess it was only that video and White Cloud. Did we have him for another one? No, we did for
He
Black
was
and White.
in the
Mhm.
black and white. Yeah.
But it was like a full on robe, and it was just like 100 degrees outside, literally, with the
Poor guy.
bonfire. And we had this guy out here like for hours, just like trying to get the shots and stuff. And he was a good sport about it. It just like I can't even imagine, even the people that weren't in cloaks were sweating their ass off. So it was worth it.
Yeah.
Definitely
This
worth
is the
it.
same guy who flew all the way out to Colorado with us too to shoot the rose colored video. And so we had him just like probably drenched in sweat under this black robe in the Florida heat. And then we
Yeah.
flew him out to Vail and we made him stand and like film this video. And by the way, we're all from Orlando and none of us owned like the clothes that were suitable to go and stand out in like what was it, like 18-degree weather up in the mountains in Vail with the wind and chill and everything. We were frigid shooting that video. And so that poor guy, we put him through some temperatures, that's for sure.
Yeah. It was definitely worth it in the end, but it was not fun being in like I think I looked it up. It was like negative 30 something.
Oh,
Well,
Jesus.
that's what it felt like. I
Yeah, the
think
wind chill and all that.
realistically, yeah, it
Yeah.
was brutal. And we were like a mile hiked up this mountain, and it was like just straight snow, and we were not dressed for the occasion. Nobody had boots or anything. I was literally in like Vans and
Mhm.
one pair of socks and some like skinny jeans and a flannel. And uh some of us were like close to frostbite. So it was not fun.
Tell me about some of your influences and heroes. It can be musical or otherwise.
Personally, I was really influenced by this band AFI. I don't know if you've uh heard of them. They're like my favorite band when I was learning how to play guitar, and um I listened to, like, a lot of, Paramore growing up too, but that was more of, like, a vocal inspiration and stuff like that. Um, when Christian and I talked about, like, joining forces, we talked about our mutual interest in, like, The Killers, and I can't remember some of the other bands that we talked about, but I think that was, like, one of the main bands that inspired us, like, as a whole. And I think
Yeah.
Muse.
Killers, yeah, early Muse. For me, probably like my biggest influences musically, and like what crafted a lot of like my songwriting back in the day was Hot Fuss by the Killers, that album specifically, and the first Panic at the Disco album, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. That was like such a massive influence for me. So between that, yeah, the first Muse record, I know we talk about Muse a lot, and I mean, then your general assortment of like name a band from between 2004 and 2010 that got big in like emo music or even some like post-hardcore music. And there's a lot of influence there. And then even getting into, some radio indie rock like All American Rejects, and even further into indie like Coldplay and stuff like that. There's a lot of influence there, kind of across the board. We kind of put a lot of these sounds in a blender, or at least we've tried to. And whatever comes out of the other end, we usually roll with, and yeah, and turns into what you've heard from us,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
So I know that we talked a little bit ago about how you kind of got your start during COVID and all of that. But so because of that, you didn't play your first live show for almost a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. So
Yeah.
what have been some of your favorite, uh, I know you don't have a lot of shows, but what are some of your favorite maybe venues that you've been to or shows that you've played?
Um, what was our first show, Christian? I think it was at the Abbey. We opened up for a band called
Broadside.
Broadside. I think that was our first show.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, we opened up for Broadside, and we played with our friends in Hungover. I think that was it on the bill. But yeah, that
There's
was
one
at
other
the
band. I want to
Abbey.
say Northbound is what they're called.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're right. But yeah, that we played the Abbey. I think we've played there twice. Am
Yep.
I correct?
Yep. We
And
had
then
our
we've
we had our
played,
album. Actually, I have the poster for it behind us. The album release show, or the EP release show that we did, was also at the Abbey.
right, yes. And then we did this place called Hanau. Was it
Yep.
Hanau?
We played Hanau. We opened up for Arrows in Action at Hanau.
Uh-huh. And then we did one other show, I think. Oh, we did emo night at the Social here in
Emo Night at
Atlanta.
the Social, and then we played Bar Down Breakdown Fest at Will's Pub, and I think that is the entirety of our live
Mm-hmm.
shows that we've played.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
over the
so
years, we've only
far.
played like 6 or 5.
Yeah, which they've all been amazing. We're lucky we've even had the opportunity to play any live shows at this point. We're just like, coming out of you know, the COVID pandemic, and then, we just have all this music, and we kind of were like, okay, what do we do now? And so we just got offered some shows, and we're like, heck yeah, let's do it. And yeah, they've all been great, honestly. I can't even tell you which one was my favorite. Um,
If I was gonna speak for myself, our first show we ever played was still probably my favorite show.
yeah, I
I
definitely
think
still
that
feel
was so
the vibe
cool.
from that one. It was just really cool to see the turnout. As a band playing in your own hometown, it's like, and being the first show you've ever played at that, and seeing such a turnout, it was really nice to see the support.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what was really special to me about that show in particular was we had spent obviously, we had spent some time building an online following, and we had built up a pretty like decent size, at least for how long we'd been a band, a pretty decent sized uh fan base of people who knew our music. And so by the time we played our first show, um we had the opportunity to open for this really fantastic and like pretty sizable band called Broadside, which, if I named, I think Coffee Talk is the name of like their biggest song. You'd absolutely know it if you heard it. And getting to open for a band of that size for our first show, getting to play with our friends in Hungover for our first show, and then getting to play a show with a crowd where, as we were looking out during our set, and there were people who already knew the words to our songs at our first show ever. Like, they're singing along with our songs. That was a pretty insane experience for a first show. I don't think a lot of bands can say for their first show that there were people in the crowd who they'd never met before singing along to every word of the song. So that was very cool.
I love to hear that. And speaking of those words, I did want to ask you, because one of the reasons that I'm such a big fan of Brave Weather is the lyrics. You write really, really good lyrics. I can't even interview you without mentioning just how much almost every single word in the song Best Friend means to me personally. And so my question is, what goes into the lyric writing process? Is it just you, or is it a team effort?
So the lyric writing process, uh, it's it's a team effort in that I'll write a lot of the lyrics, and then I'll sort of say, hey, here's the concept, here's the idea that I've got for these lyrics. I'll run it by Maria, I'll run it by Tony. They'll help me make edits and adjustments and say, like, hey, I think, this line's really cool. What if we added this? What if we said that instead? And so it becomes a little bit of a team effort. The the core of the concept probably starts at home with me a little bit, and then yeah, it becomes a group effort, like kind of refining those lyrics. Specifically Best Friend, though that song is, I wrote that one about my wife. That one's a very personal one to me. I ended up, I think, writing the majority of those lyrics for that one.
I know that
Yeah,
you
and
guys, I'm sorry, go
Christian is
ahead.
very, very, very good at writing lyrics. Like we don't ever really have um like revisions on stuff like that. He's very good at coming up with those vocal melodies and those lyrics and the placement and everything. Sometimes, there will be like talks about, oh, maybe we should switch up the phrasing here or there, but like really he's just he's just really like nailing it most of the time with that stuff. So he does need to take more credit than he's giving himself.
I know that you guys have, as I said when I tweeted at you, a album and a half's worth of material out there, and then you just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. So, what's Brave Weather been working on? Do we have anything to look forward to, or are you still just kind of in a little bit of a hiatus mode?
So there's a lot of questions in that question. Uh, the There isn't really a short answer. So the two parts of that question I'll answer, and then Maria take it. Is we're not particularly ready to announce anything specific, any sort of release dates, anything like that. If you or anybody who listens to this has followed our social media, you'll see posts of us, throughout the last year, in the studio working on stuff here and there. So can't say we haven't been working on stuff. We definitely have a body of work that we've been recording and preparing for, a purpose. But we will get back in touch with you when we're ready to talk about that in a little bit more detail. We want to make sure that our approach to a release like this is really, really well thought out and organized before we start going public with it. But that's it. Your answer to question one is, can you guys look forward to anything? Short answer, yes. Long answer is we're not ready to talk about it. And then question two, what have we been working on? For me personally, right after we released that record, I went back to school and I got my MBA. I also had just started a new job right when we put that record out. And I went into full-blown wedding planning mode. And I just got married in November. So planning a wedding with my wife, going to school, and starting a new job. Unfortunately, something had to give, and that's kind
Congratulations
of how
on
it
that, by
goes,
the way.
you know. But sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did want to make sure I said congratulations on getting married, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. It is very, very cool, beautiful, beautiful wedding. Just got back from the honeymoon a couple weeks back, so we're a little bit more back to reality now. And now that between school, wedding planning, and very settled into the new job, all that's off the plate. I know we're kind of nose down back into the music stuff as mentioned before. But Maria, if you want to share what you've been up to, she actually somehow even cooler than getting a master's degree, has a much cooler thing that she's been working on for the past year.
No,
So yeah.
it's not cooler. It's just, we all have our own, things that we do in our personal lives. And we can't speak for Tony, but he's also working super hard every day, um, in his life. And me personally, around the same time Christian was getting his MBA, I'm a photographer, videographer. So I've actually never been on tour before, whether it was for my own music or for someone else. But I started working for a band that was touring, and I was gone for a little over a year. And it was almost back to back each tour. We would be home for like 2 to 3 weeks. I think the most we were home at one time was like 6 weeks, but for an entire like year and a half, I was on the road. I was in different countries. Sometimes I was in the US. But right now, I'm home until 2025. So we're definitely diving headfirst into this, and making some really cool stuff that we can't talk about.
And your videography and photography company is called Black Card Films.
Yes.
Before we go, because we are starting to run out of time, did we have any sponsors we wanted to shout out?
Sponsors.
Hmm.
I don't have any, we don't have any sponsors that paid to be a part of this, but we will always shout out Marshall Ronis of Montgomery Drive, local music promotion here in Orlando, because he makes the scene go around here in Orlando, and we always got to show our appreciation. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. What about you, Maria?
I think, yeah, that's he is the guy. He is the man. If anybody's coming through Orlando and you're a band or an artist and you need to get booked in Orlando, I mean, hit him up. Montgomery Drive, he is the man. We freaking love Marshall.
We love you, Marshall.
Freaking, he's the
Um,
man.
I guess before we go, since we still have a couple of minutes, is there a cover that you'd like to do? I know that you've got all originals out right now, but is there one that you just really, whether or not you would do it, that you would just love to do?
I think we might have like personal opinions about that individually. I know Christian has a couple covers he really wants to do, and like we've talked back and forth about some of those coming to the table, but I don't think we've actually decided on one. But Christian might be able to tell you more about the covers he might want to do.
Yeah, I know we've talked about doing a lot of covers, and gotten really excited about the idea of doing a few. I know at one point we were talking about covering doing a Brave Weather Eyes, sort of in our stylistic cover of like Everlong by the Foo Fighters potentially. There are some Killer songs we were talking about, some A Fire Inside, or sorry, AFI covers that we had talked about doing. Got really excited about those. Definitely some more like obscure songs that we'd just be doing it for us because we know that music, but other people might even mistake it for being our own song because it's not that well known. Just to throw a few things out there, but nothing that we have immediate plans to cover, if that's what you're asking.
You guys have
We're
anything
very
you
very
want to
much an
say?
original music kind of situation.
Absolutely. And I understand that, but it's fun to talk about, a cover that some covers are really fun, like if a metalcore band does The Weekend or something like that,
Yeah,
just something like that
Yeah.
is just kind of
yeah,
fun.
that stuff is fun. Yeah, that's cool.
Honestly,
Um,
I couldn't even tell you. I'd want to do so many. There's no way I could pick one.
Yeah, I think, well, don't be surprised if we drop a Megan Thee Stallion cover before the end of the year.
there you go. There you go. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we call it?
For me, just another thank you for having us on, and very sincere thank you to Surprise Radio, because you've been supporting us so consistently since the beginning that we've been doing this, that even though we didn't have a whole lot to announce or a whole lot to really highlight that's coming up here soon, as soon as you threw that shout out on Facebook. We want to take advantage of the opportunity to get on here, chat with you finally, and hopefully make some time in the future to get on here and chat with you again if you'd be open to it.
Surprise Radio is always open to Brave Weather.
Awesome.
It was an absolute honor to have y'all on today, and just thank you so much. It's exciting to know that even though you can't tell us what you're working on, you are working on something. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, keep an ear out. Keep an ear out. We hope that you like what you hear here in hopefully the relatively near future.
Christian, Maria, thank you so much.
Thank you. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.